to another episode of Batavia Spotlight, where we get to know more about community organizations and businesses here in Batavia and in our local communities. I'm Ellen Huxtable, your host, and I'm very, very pleased to welcome Paul Mueller, who is a tutor with Literacy Volunteers Fox Valley. Thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to be here.
So tell us about Literacy Volunteers. What are you?
Well, I can tell you about our mission, and that's to help adults acquire the literacy skills that they need to function with more effectively in contemporary United States.
Okay, so is this for people that are English as a first language or English as a second language or both?
Yes, this is English as a second language.
Okay.
And we will instruct these individuals, no matter what stage of speaking English they are at, to read, write, and speak better English. So the organization itself has been in existence since 1986. It's a nonprofit organization, and it serves the residents and the workers of number one Batavia, St. Charles, Geneva, Lily Lake, Campus Campton Hills, and there's a few other ones, but everything in between.
And so these are people then that have come from another country, so their primary language is not English. What are some of the languages that are the first languages of your clients?
Well, Spanish is probably the biggest first language. And then Asian languages, which there's a number of those, and they may sound alike at times, but as you know, they're quite different. And I've even had people from Africa, Somalia, that spoke certain dialects, and from Myanmar also, which had a language that was rather interesting.
Oh, my goodness.
If you look for a translation of the word why, W-H-Y, it would be about 6 inches long.
Wow. So you don't ask many questions in that language because it takes too long.
That's right. That's right. We currently have 292 students.
Wow.
And we have approximately between 216 and 230 as far as our volunteer tutors go. Now, some of the tutors may have more than one individual that they tutor for, but they're the strength of our program. And our volunteer tutors tutor one-on-one for most individuals. They look at the students' level of preparedness for learning English and their needs also, their personal needs. Maybe their job calls for certain things that they have to know much better. And try and tailor the information we try to teach them to their needs and their skill level.
So do you have to be a teacher to be a tutor, or can anybody tutor?
No, you don't have to be a teacher, and we're asked that question quite often. But if you're interested in reading, if you're an individual who likes to go to the library, who likes teaching people, it's just a great opportunity to do something for somebody else and feel good about it.
And how do you train them? What kind of training do your tutors receive?
Our training is about 10 hours in length. It's 2.5 hours, 2 times a week in a place like the library, where we'll train 10 or 15 people together. And in that period of time, they're able to start their lesson plans and figure out what they would have to do with different types of people. And it's a very good training session for the last 2 weeks, and it's 6:30 to 9 at night. And if you've been in a library 5 of 9, you know you better get out before they lock the doors.
Absolutely. It's not going to run over.
It doesn't run over at all. So I could give you an example of one of the things we try and do is incorporate whatever this person might be interested in at that time of the tutoring session. I had a fellow from Myanmar that I was tutoring him, and he came in one week, and I said, well, what's going on? And we try to have a little conversation first. He said, well, I'm going to visit my mother. I said, well, that's great. Where does she live? New Jersey.
Okay.
Well, he had 5 children and a wife. He was going to get to New Jersey by driving there, and he really wasn't able to read English.
Oh.
And maybe he thought there would be signs that just would say New Jersey next 200 miles or something like that. But with the help of the library, this was before GPS, we got a map for him. I taught him north, south, east, west. went over the numbers of the routes he would have to take. And I just kept telling him, now, if you have a choice, you want to go east.
When in doubt, go east. New Jersey is east. It's going to help.
Yeah, and he was for about a week, I think he was gone, but he got back to the next session, so I knew
good.
he made it. I felt
back.
great about it. He felt great about it. He got to see his mother for some time. It was all good.
That's good. What's the length of the commitment? When somebody says, I'm going to be a tutor, what is the length of their commitment?
Well, it varies, but most people sign up and leave it indefinite.
Okay.
And they have one person that they're tutoring, and that person may have to go on to another job or get another job and is unable to attend the tutoring session. And they may stop for a while there, but a lot of people like to just, as you say, get right back on that horse and go again. So there's really no definite time that happens.
So if somebody's interested in becoming a tutor, how do they get in contact with you?
Well, they can contact us on the web, www.lvfv.org, or they can give us a call. Now, all the information will be on our website, and they can find out a lot of information about our organization on the website, in addition to knowing who to call and who they can talk to about being a tutor. But we do need tutors. The last time I looked, we had 20 students who needed tutors.
Okay.
So we're actively doing tutor sessions throughout the summer and the fall. Our phone number is 630-584-2811.
Okay.
So that would be who they would call to find out. And if anyone has any donations that they would like to help out our organization, those would also be the contact numbers for them.
And if somebody who's in need of your services, if somebody would like to be tutored, they could also use the same number to contact you?
They can, and we have a bilingual individual who will be able to answer the phone and talk to most of them.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for telling us about this, and it's a service that obviously is going to help a lot of people out. So thank you so much.
Well, you're very welcome. Thank you for the time.
Thank you. And we'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors.
Hi, I'm Tom Wangler, President of Confident Air. Regular maintenance can prolong the life of your furnace and keep your energy costs to a minimum. Plus, there's less of a chance of a breakdown on a cold winter night. Your furnace needs proper care and attention to keep it running smoothly, so you don't end up paying too much for heating during the cold winter months, or worse yet, with deadly carbon monoxide poisoning. We recommend an annual inspection to ensure safe operation. Confident Air, your trusted home comfort professionals since 1992.
The Kane County Chronicle is your best source for news and information in print and online in the Tri-Cities and Caneland.
This is Chronicle Country. This is Chronicle Country. This is Chronicle Country.
This is Chronicle Country.
This is Chronicle Country.
Welcome back to Batavia Spotlight. I'm Ellen Huxtable, and I'm here with Dave Hellman, who's a volunteer with Kairos Prison Ministry International. So, Dave, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
So, tell us what is Kairos Prison Ministry International?
Well, Kairos Prison Ministry International, you got me doing it, is made up of actually three different parts. That started with what they call Kairos Inside, which is a volunteer prison ministry that goes into the adult prisons. And that started in 1979. And then in 1989, they added a program called Kairos Outside, which is developed to minister to the women who have an incarcerated male in their family that's in prison. And they're out there trying to make ends meet, trying to keep a family going, and this group goes out and ministers to them. And then the group that I'm involved with is called Kairos Torch, which goes into the juvenile prisons, the younger people. So we go into the youth center in St. Charles is where we do our ministry. And basically what it is it's designed to be a group of volunteers. These volunteers come from many different churches in the area. And we go in there to show the incarcerated youth, in our case, that they are loved. We try to bring in Christian values, Christian concepts, Christian ideas as a way to show them that they can make better choices, that they are loved. There's people out there who are looking out for them and worried about them. We try to help them understand that their past doesn't have to continue to be their future, that they can have a better life when they get out. The program works as there's two main parts to our program, where the first part is a weekend where we go into the prison for a Friday evening, pretty much all day Saturday and most of the day on Sunday. And the group that goes in is usually 20 to 30 volunteers that have gone through about 40 hours of team building training before the weekend. And we go in on the weekend, and there's a lot of different parts to the weekend where we have some food that they probably have not had for quite a while, some very good food that they don't get when they're in prison. A lot of cookies involved, a lot of music involved. We have some videos, we play some games. And then we actually separate the youth into what we call table families, where we have some talks throughout the weekend also. And the table families are made up of maybe 3 volunteers, and 4 to 5 of the young men are at the table. And after the talks, they discuss what they heard, what did they learn, how do they feel, can they use some of that information. Some of the talks talk about the masks that we hide behind. Sometimes you don't even realize it. If we don't want somebody to see our true self, we hide behind masks. And how do we realize that? And how do we take those masks off? We talk about choices. That's a big portion of the weekend, are the choices that we make, choices that put them there in the prison. And what can they do when they get out to make better choices? We talk a lot about forgiveness, how they can be forgiven for the things they've done. Talk about, how do you choose people to be around, how the people you choose to be around, how that can have a big effect on you, and how do you choose better relationships. So the weekend goes on with all those things. And then after the weekend, a big portion of it is mentoring. There's weekly mentoring, so every youth is paired up with a volunteer from the weekend, and weekly we go in and mentor these young men and kind of build on those concepts that we introduced during the weekend.
So how long is the program? How long does the mentoring go?
The mentoring well, it's designed to go up to 6 months, but we have people who have been mentoring since we started in 2012 at the Youth Center in St. Charles. There's still one person whose young man is still in, and they're still mentoring him at this point in time.
Wow. Now what are the ages of the people that are in this program?
The program varies. They can be as young as 13 to 14 and go up even as far as 21. Currently in the Youth Center in St. Charles, most of the young men are between 14 to 17, maybe 18 years old. And that's the youth we would have.
And how are the youth selected for this program? I'm sure that you don't have enough volunteers to mentor to everybody
Right.
in the facility.
Yeah, if we have 20 to 30 volunteers going in, we usually have youth that are maybe 2 less than that. And so if we have 25 volunteers, we'd have 23 youth in the program. And they're chosen by their counselors. The chaplain there can pick them. They're sometimes chosen a little bit on the grade that they're on, how much trouble they're getting in, things like that. And then we interview them before we do the weekend. We interview them so they make sure they know what it's going to be about.
Yeah.
It is a Christian-based program, and we need them to understand that.
So now, how do you get your volunteers? How do you recruit them? Where do they come from?
Well, the volunteers, like I say, come from a lot of different churches in the area, and we do have informational meetings before the weekends, maybe 3 to 6 months before the weekend. We'll start having informational meetings. We do have a website, kairosofillinois.org is all 3 programs, and in there there's links to the Kairos Torch program, and then in that there's also a link to an email to our advisory council chairperson, Jeff Jenkins, and they could contact him that way.
So there's the weekend program, and then there's a weekly program for the volunteers to meet individually?
Right.
And those meetings are typically like how long, and what is covered in those?
Usually they're about an hour and a half. Hour and 20 minutes, hour and a half. And we just, like I say, we build on some of the concepts that we talked about during the weekend. We spend a lot of time on anger, because that's one of the issues they fight. And so we spend a lot of time on just working on anger. How do you determine, when you feel yourself getting into a rage or something like that, and what can we do to stop that sooner before it develops into a full-blown fight or, something like that. And so we spend a lot of time just when we first start mentoring, we try to figure out what are the areas that this young man needs help with, and then we try to focus on those areas.
So is this a ministry to the male prison inmates?
It's actually male and female.
Okay.
On the inside, it's male and female. In the state of Illinois, we only do the youth center in St. Charles, which is all male for the young men.
So if somebody was interested in getting involved, and maybe their church isn't involved yet, how can somebody get involved if they're not already part of the support team for this?
Well, like I say, they can go on the website and contact our advisory council chairperson, and he can let them know when the next weekend. The weekends are usually in May or November, and so we don't have enough volunteers to do 2 a year. We'd like to be able to do 2 a year, but right now we're still trying to get enough volunteers because people don't do them usually one after another. They might do one and skip one and then do the next one or something like that. So that's one way. The website tells them a lot about the program, but there's other ways to volunteer if you don't think you can be on a team. We have people who bake the food that we take in, cook the food, they bake the cookies. We have people that can, if you just want to donate money to the program, because it's all fed through donations. All the food that we buy and everything else we do is fed through donations.
That's important to know.
And so we have all that. And when we talk to these youth, we explain to them that there are people that you won't see this weekend who have done a lot to help make this weekend possible. And so they understand that. We have, part of it is prayer. We have, before the weekend, we ask people to pray for the youth during the weekend. And we developed this long chain made of paper, and on there is a name of somebody and what time they said they would pray for that weekend, for the young men involved in the weekend. That chain ends up stretching all the way around this room to show them that they are surrounded by the love of people out here in the community.
Well, Dave, thank you so much for sharing with us. I hope people get involved with the ministry, whether it's spending time in the facility or supporting it financially or supporting it with their efforts. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors.
The Drendel and Jansen's Law Group has practiced law in Aurora since 1961 and in Batavia since 1994.
We focus our energy on representing people and businesses and families in the local community.
We represent clients in Keene and surrounding counties in matters ranging from divorce to wills, business law to zoning.
We focus our efforts on planning and working towards positive resolutions for businesses and families.
When clients need someone to fight for their interests, we're ready, willing, and able to act as aggressive advocates to protect their interests.
Drendel and Jansen's Law Group with offices in Batavia and Aurora and located on the web at batavialaw.com.
Downtown Batavia, always moving by nature. Recreation, nature, the arts, specialty shops, restaurants and services. Downtown is everyone's neighborhood. Come, celebrate, meet friends, unwind.
See you downtown.
Welcome back to Batavia Spotlight. I'm Ellen Huxtable, and I'm here with Britta McKenna, who's the Chief Innovation Officer at IMSA, the Illinois Mathematics and Science Academy. So, Britta, thank you so much for being here. And tell us about what's new and percolating over at IMSA.
Sure, I'm glad to be back. I think the last time I was here, I had renderings of Into, our new innovation center.
Yes.
So since then, we cut the ribbon on March 30th, had a big community celebration, and now we're launching into many programs. And so I'm glad to be here to share everything we're up to today.
So tell us about some of the things. You have some things going on now for the summer. So tell us about what's going on in your summer program. Things, the students aren't there for the year-round program, but the place is still just jumping.
Right. The school, IMSA, is obviously closed for the summer. Our IMSA students actually come back to help teach some of the camps. So in our new innovation center, it's a 6,400 square foot space, a really nice space, right by IMSA's front door. So it's easy to get to. And by the way, Ellen is an idea barista at Into.
Absolutely.
So she knows, and she can tell you more about it. But we do have 2 camps. We have makerspace camps, and then we also have entrepreneurship camps. So we have different iterations of that. Some are day camps for middle school students, and some are residential for high school students. So 2 weeks ago, I helped teach Design Divas. It was just for girls, and that was a great camp because we got all of our girl makers together and did something just for the girls. And so we were able to take some of the comments from a camp the year earlier and formulate it and really focus on something just for the girls.
Excellent.
And so this week is a co-ed camp for middle school, and we also have some educators there. So they're actually learning about how to teach entrepreneurship to middle school. So IMSA is a learning laboratory by nature, so we try to share everything that we do. We also had a week that was just for adult learners.
Oh, okay.
So we did design thinking, we did designing innovation spaces, makerspace Fast Start, which is for schools, people in schools, and also libraries who are opening up makerspaces. We're going to be offering an encore one of that later in the summer. And then we also had one on entrepreneurship education. So we work both ends with adult learners and with middle school and high school.
And so a lot of what you do that people might not know is outreach, that you're trying to bring people into the community and reach out to people in their parts of the community.
Right. I mean, IMSA has a dual mission. Some people don't know that. They just see IMSA, the school. It's kind of the bubble for grades 10, 11, 12, 650 bright kids. That's part of the mission of reaching the students. Obviously, we do that through the residential academy. We also have satellite programs around the state that serve students around the state, and we also serve educators. So we have that dual role of internal, external. That all goes on. We are funded by the state of Illinois.
So you teach the teachers how to teach and therefore expand the footprint and the impact that IMSA has.
Absolutely.
Now, Into has got this really interesting mission part to it that it's not just for the students, it's not just certainly for the students on campus or the outreach students, it's for the whole community.
Right.
So tell us what the whole community is and how people might get involved who don't think that they are part of what this is all about.
Right. So I call it IMSA's new front door.
Okay.
So for the community, and it is for those people that want to be involved in entrepreneurship or innovation or makerspace. Those types we offer programs. So during the school year, we have programs. They're called fun shops. They're Saturday workshops, sometimes Wednesday after school. Largely, what we do for the community is after 4 p.m. because that's when the school day ends. Then we have programs. We have the summer camps in the summer. We have fun shops. We also have something that's not for students but for startups in the community.
So those are adult businesses.
Adult businesses, and it's called our Linkubator program. And we have Launchpad. So we actually are working with the area communities to mentor, through help from subject matter experts like yourself. We bring in our startups and help them and accelerate and incubate them so that they can go off and find a home, hopefully in the Fox Valley, stay in Illinois.
So now, you also have businesses who come alongside and partner with Into. Can you tell us a little bit about the businesses that are there and maybe other businesses that might be interested in getting involved?
Right. So we like to entertain possibilities. And so if someone has a problem or an opportunity, they can always contact us and say, hey, would you want to work on this? An example is Steve Hieronymus, who's a Batavian, and he contacted us because he wanted to change up the way he sails autonomously his sailboat. He has ALS, and he can only move his finger. But he has a bite. So we're actually helping him devise a way that he can sail his sailboat through a gaze and magnetic gaze system. And so what we're looking to do is looking for those problems and opportunities in the community that IMSA, students, faculty, staff, and our Into network of collaborators can actually work together on.
So you're bringing the resources to bear on a problem or an opportunity that somebody might have.
Yeah.
Now, you also have corporations that come along and
we do. We have corporate sponsors, and we look to engage them. So BP and ComEd, our energy partners. So we create programming for middle school or high schoolers with them as subject matter experts. And we have annual student memberships. I brought this for you.
Thank you. So the annual student memberships.
Yeah. So we have the ability. It's the price of a summer camp. They can actually come in and be a member of Into and attend our programming, and which is our entrepreneurship programming, be in Power Pitch, get all advantage of all the workshops, and the parents tag along for free.
Ooh.
So you don't just drop off your kid, you can come and learn too. And all of that information is available on our website, which I'm sure we'll get to in a second.
Absolutely. Well, that's fantastic because this is something that is going to support the student and support the parents who are just curious about what their students are doing, because sometimes you drop your student off and you come back 2 hours later and you pick them up and you say, what did you do? They said nothing, and you're pretty much at a loss.
Sometimes we have the parents show up without the children. That's happened too because they love the programs.
Right, and then the student says, no, I can't come now, and mom and dad says, well, I'm going to go, right? So now if somebody's interested in any part of this, whether they're a corporation or a business or somebody that has a problem or a parent of a student, how do they get in touch with you?
So our web page right now is imsa.edu/IN2, where the students are developing a more robust website. It's not done yet, but you can find a web page there with information. You can also email us at into@imsa.edu or call us at 630-907-5800.
And one of the things that I didn't touch on before, but you told me about, is that you have tours, open tours.
Yes, Tuesday tours at 10. If you stop by, the whistle's blowing usually in the community at 10 o'clock. You can come to the IMSA front desk, bring your ID, and show up and say you'd like a tour. We give free tours every Tuesday at 10.
And it's open to the community, and there's wonderful things to be had there. So thank you so much for joining us, Britta.
Thanks for inviting me back.
And thank you for joining us for another episode of Batavia Spotlight. I'm your host, Ellen Huxtable. Catch up on previous episodes on our website, mybatv.com, and follow us on Facebook at BATV1017. Thanks for watching.